So hi everybody, it's Susie de Jong and this is Masterpiece in Progress. And today I'm interviewing a fantastic dynamic woman called Melinda or Midja Fisher, and we are going to talk today all about confidence. And this is a huge topic. It's a huge topic with so many women and men. I'm not going to be exclusive here. But I work predominantly with women and I see it as a huge block for a lot of people. So I thought it was really important to shine a light on this. So first of all, Midja, thank you so much for joining me today.
Perfect, and thanks for inviting me. And as you said, really excited to speak about the topic of confidence and my own personal experience with it and also what I see with my clients.
Fantastic. Now, I've got a few nouns to describe you, what you do. Don't be scared. Amongst other things, because if I listed everything, we might be here for a while. You are a lawyer, obviously, a leadership expert, an author, a keynote speaker, and this is my favourite one, a confidence expert.
Yes.
So would you share with us a little bit about your background and how you came to be focusing on working with women in leadership and in confidence in particular?
Sure. So as you said, my background is in law. So I spent a long time in the legal profession and practiced law for about 10 or so years, and then became really interested in leading people that were helping the clients. So for me then I stopped actually working directly with clients and instead looked at the development of our people in the law firm and did mentoring and coaching and ran workshops and leadership programs and a lot of personal development programs as well. And so did that for a long time, and it came to couple of years ago for me now, so 2016, and a couple of events happened that year for me. So that was the year that I realized my 19-year marriage was over, and so my husband moved out of the house, and that rocked me. That shook me.
It would.
Yeah, as it does with every woman that I've spoken to. So when he left, I was really shocked about that. And at the same time, my relationship with the law firm that I'd been a partner with for 19 years also came to an end. And, you know, so that rocked me as well. So those kind of events left me, I think I was 42 years of age at the time, and I was, single mum with 3 kids, unemployed. And I just went, look, this was not part of the life plan, Suze. This was not where I thought I would find myself at 42. And I think like everyone, I think you find yourself kind of questioning, how did I get here and who am I again? And for me, I had to think about, well, what next and what do I need? And for me, the answer was I needed to bring my confidence back. And after those couple of events, and there were things leading up to that, of course, in the prior years leading up to that kind of, it all blew up. My confidence was rocked. Yeah. And when I talk to women a lot, particularly when I'm mentoring women, they're often in situations where they find their confidence being eroded. And what I do is to help them get out of that space is really the job that I do, because they started their careers, or they may have started, in their 20s and maybe even in, their early 30s, gung-ho and confident, and I can set the world on fire and this is what I'm going to do. And then, like myself, through kind of a series of events, we kind of find ourselves, running short on it. and starting to question ourselves, and all that self-talk around, am I good enough, am I not, maybe I'll just do this, I'm not worthy, all of that starts to build in. So that was my kind of journey. And for me now, helping women build their confidence to really take on the next step for them, whatever that is, in their career, in business, or in their personal lives as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, going through what you've been through, and I know a lot of us have been through similar, especially when you've got kids, you can't just sort of go to bed and pull the covers up and just say this is all too hard, and you've got to maintain that stability for them to see that, mum's okay, she's not a mess on the floor, she's still got to take you to school and do everything like that. So that conflict of trying to maintain that mask whilst inside everything's gone to shit.
Yeah, and I it's tough. It's tough, and I think particularly, when you've been, like, for people looking in, they see you as being highly successful, and like you had everything, perfect marriage, perfect kids, perfect house, cars, partnership. It had all that, this reputation, or this persona, if you like, of what everyone, what they think you are, and your life, and as you said, with the kids, it's not a case of just staying in bed. Like, the next day, the weeks that follow, you just have to get up and do everything that you would normally do.
Which may be a blessing in disguise when you look back, because if you didn't have that, then you kind of wonder how, things would have turned out. So
yeah, definitely.
Really, really admire that you did this. And you know what I love about women and working with women and talking in this sort of format is that I found that whenever a woman goes through something like this, that their first instinct is to think, how can I help someone else when they're going through it? And I just think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think there's something in that. And for me, when I was kind of going, well, I need to rebuild my confidence, and how am I going to do this? I then decided to start writing the book and start video blogging. So I just immediately started video blogging, which I've done for 2 years now. And I joke that it was kind of my form of therapy, that I kind of, for me, getting it all out of my head. And hopefully that's what I do with clients, is they're able to talk to me in a way that maybe they can't talk to anyone else, and have that time for them. But certainly it's about, I just got to get this all out, and yes, it will help me, hopefully, but if it can help someone else as well, well, let's do that as well, because there's got to be some good stuff that comes from this. And everything I go through now, I think, oh, there's a book in that. Oh, there's a blog in that. And so I live life kind of going, well, kind of this stuff happens, so you learn from it, and take that with you and share it.
And I think you'll find, I'm sure, with your blog that you've had and the comments that you've received, it's so helpful but reassuring for women to know that here's this person that, on the outside, as you said, everyone thinks. And I used to get the comment, oh, you're so strong, you cope with everything. And you're thinking, inside, no, not so much. But it's for you to be open and vulnerable and share what you're going through. I'm sure that there's women out there that really helped, because they went, oh, my God, that's my life I'm listening to, and someone else is going through this.
Yeah, certainly.
I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, and, when I talk about leadership, I talk about this balance of confidence and humility that's needed in leadership. I think to be a great leader that people want to follow, you've got to have that perfect balance.
Yep.
And you can't be humble, I don't think, or genuinely humble, unless you've got this confidence down pat, because once you've got that confidence down pat, you can stop worrying about yourself.
Yeah.
And start being of service to other people. But if you're all tied up about yourself and, oh, what are they thinking of me? And, oh, if I say this, this might happen. If all that's going through your head, then you can't be there for your clients. You can't be there for the people that you're trying to lead. And so it's the work I do is sort of twofold around building people's confidence up enough and working on themselves enough that they can then do the flip and forget about themselves and start focusing on other people. But hard to do unless you absolutely have that unwavering self-belief.
And I think a lot of it too is the recognising of it. You know, like when I went through all my stuff, it's when you start holding a mirror up to yourself and you can see the patterns and beliefs and all the negative self-talk and everything that you unconsciously do, and challenge it, that's when the light starts to crack through and things start to make a lot more sense for you personally.
Yes. Yeah. And it's those, you know, I even know now, like I will just play, you know, just my own kind of mind tricks with my own beliefs and things like that. But as you said, first it's about knowing, well, you know, what are those beliefs that you hold? Where have they come from? Why are they there? How have they served you in the past? Do they serve you moving forward? And some of those kind of deep-rooted ones, like how do I replace those? Or how do I even trick myself into making those work for you? I have some fun even with myself trying to move past some stuff and trick myself into making things actually happen, and things to manifest in my life.
So what do you see as some of the most common factors that affect women's confidence levels in the people that you've dealt with?
Yeah, I think one of the things is people not spending or not investing the time and really knowing and getting to know themselves. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we were talking about really knowing your story. So I call it the story so far. And like I'm not a counsellor, so I don't spend a whole lot of time looking in the past, mostly the future as a coach and mentor. But I think there's value in looking a little bit behind in the rear vision mirror and just understanding some of that stuff, going, oh, okay, so this is where this has come from. And as I said, it may have served you in the past, but does it serve you moving forward? So knowing your values, you know, doing your values work, finding your purpose, you know, finding your magic, your strengths, seeking out that feedback, listening to it. So all of that stuff, I think, gets in the way if we don't spend some time looking into that. Otherwise, we're just we become like who we think other people think we should be, you know, whether it's your parents or your partner or, I don't know, your dog, I don't know. So doing a whole lot of work on yourself.
Yeah.
And then I think once you get really comfortable with that, then you can, you know, just find that space that you're going to excel in, that you're going to absolutely flourish. And then the great thing about that is that then perpetuates sort of more confidence. Then once you start getting some runs on the board, you're like, actually, yeah, this is the space I need to be in. And so you can get more confident with that. And just some of the basic stuff around, you know, the perfectionist nature, letting go of some of that script, you know, letting go of the script that, you know, we can be everything to everyone and that we can all find perfect balance in our lives.
Yeah.
These myths, they're myths that we've been absolutely told. And so I often, you know, I talk with my clients about priorities and not about balance.
Yeah.
Because at any time, I think we all have a priority in life or a couple of priorities, and other things are going to have to step backstage to get that thing to come front and center stage. And that is absolutely okay. You know, when I was younger, when I had my first two children, partnership in a law firm was really super important to me.
Yeah.
And so I went back to work. I don't know, I took my first son, he was like, 6 weeks old, and I took him to a leadership retreat for 3 days. And he was 4 weeks preemie, but I was like, there is no way I'm missing that leadership retreat. We had to go to Korean Cove. I'm packing up baby stuff. He's like tiny because he was only 5 pounds born, so he was so little. I told my husband, get on the boat, we're going over. But then when my third child was born, Jack, like 9-10 years later, there is no way I would have gone on a leadership retreat.
No.
I had a year off. And I'd already made partners. So I had a year off. I think I went back 2 or 3 days. Different space, different time. And, both Midjas were absolutely right in what she did. And, no judgment on either of them. One took a long time off mat leave, didn't really go back full time. The other one, straight into work, focused on getting partnership. Just different priorities. Different times. So I think some of this scripting around perfectionism and balance and all of this can shake us, because then we don't measure up to what we think everyone else is doing.
Yeah, that's a huge one. And I find too, we mentioned before we came on air that, the women that I work with are women that know that they're here to do something special in the world, but they've sort of got lost. And I know for myself, when I was in that space, if you asked me what made me happy or what I thought my purpose was, I couldn't tell you. And that was so distressing. So that's what I do. I sort of work with them on that area, and then you work with them once they know what they want to do to get the confidence to do it.
Yes.
So it's a huge thing, and this thing about purpose, I've come to the conclusion, I've shared this before, that purpose is purely doing what you love and sharing it, whatever it is. It could be working at McDonald's, it could be sewing, it could be being a teacher, a lawyer, or whatever it is. Purpose is purely doing that. It doesn't have to be about being Mother Teresa or, serving in the typical way we think of serving. So once I discovered that, I kind of went, well, that's pretty cool. Now I know that. Why did I make it so hard?
Yeah. One of the chapters I have in the book is called Keep It Light. And it's a phrase that I use a lot. It's kind of a script I keep in my head, and I kind of imagine wearing a backpack through life. And particularly if I'm going into, a big pitch with a CEO and, some really big, important people with, fancy titles and stuff. And, of course, like everyone else, I get nervous. I can get anxious around, what are they going to think of me and all of this. And I just remember, if you're wearing a backpack, just keep it light. And you know what? You know who you are, Midge, and you know what you can bring, and you know your value. And either they see that and you're meant to work together, or you're not. So absolutely keep it light, and keeping it light enough that you can have these goals and see where you want to end up. But you can also look for other opportunities along the way, and how to live that purpose and how to be fulfilled. Can certainly change, and you can weave in and out, and so I totally agree that it doesn't have to be dun, 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 like, what is your purpose, and let's write it in stone and have it up, and oh my goodness, that just seems terrifying, and it'll just hard work, and we don't want that. We
scare ourselves a lot with our own thoughts. It's just crazy when you stop and you think about it. But as you said, like recognition is the biggest thing. Once you realise this, and you can just go, oh, what are you doing? Just stop that.
Yeah.
That's just silly. You're so hard on yourself. I know, mention comparison is a huge one, especially with social media and, thinking you get all these what we should be doing, and it frightens me. I've stopped now. It took me a little while because I didn't understand what was happening, because it just made me feel horrible. But especially with our kids, our kids are watching us. They're watching social media. So how do we sort of navigate through that comparison?
Yeah, it's tough. And I think we have to really look at and be aware of when we're in anything in life, but particularly around, I think, social media, is how do I feel when I'm looking at it? How do I feel afterwards? And is the feeling light and motivating, or is the feeling heavy? And if it's heavy, then we absolutely need to get rid of it. And that might be particular people that we follow on social media that just are not uplifting us. And that authenticity piece comes in. And I struggle with two things with my brand, and I don't know whether you kind of feel the same, is, people look to you for motivation and for inspiration and to feel good about life and themselves and all of that. And so there's that side. But also, of course, and I don't know whether you feel this, but I also certainly want to keep things real. And it's so funny when people meet me or come up to me and they're like, Midge, you're doing amazing things and we can't believe you. And I'm like looking at them like, I don't know what you think I'm doing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of this
it's like a persona illusion.
It's like this persona. Someone spoke to me about what I was doing on New Year's this year. I said, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, I haven't been out for New Year's for the last 2 years. So, and they're like, what do you mean you haven't been out for New Year's? I'm like, well, I got the kids. I'm just at home, I'm probably asleep by 9 o'clock. And they're like, we didn't think that was you. Like, we haven't asked you to do anything at New Year's because we kind of think that you're always out. I'm like, I'm not always out. But obviously on my social media and stuff, people think that I'm out all the time doing all of this. And so I'd love them to kind of, just kind of spend a week with me when I'm just walking the dog and doing the washing and writing at my kitchen table.
I've done a few interviews with my pajama pants on.
That's right. I have a nice top on and I have my little gardening shorts on underneath here. So yeah, it's all of this. And I think everyone just needs to chill out and put all that into perspective about anyone that you follow and all of that.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true, and I love that. We're real. We're real. That's what I always say. I shouldn't say ordinary. We're all special, but I'm just a person.
That's right.
So, I know that you were, when I saw you speak last, which was just amazing, which just even compelled me more to have a chat with you. You mentioned that you've got this focus now on working with women in corporate that get to a certain point in their careers where you see a lot of them leaving, and that's a real passion for you. Can you just talk a little bit about that and share it with everyone? Because I think that's really great.
So I just would speak to a lot of women who kind of, who have said to me, I used to work in corporate. And then they kind of give me this look of, like they roll their eyes and they're like, I'm never again am I going back to corporate. And, I used to think, yeah, great. You've left corporate and you're doing your own thing. And I think for some women, that is great. And it's what they're meant to do. But there's also a side of me that's like, what the hell is going on in corporate that some of these women who probably should be there and would really enjoy the work, and that's where they can make the biggest contribution, why aren't they there? What's going on? And I just kept hearing it over, and like every networking event, every breakfast, there'd be like just most of the room would be women that are like, I'm done. And so, yeah, certainly for me and in the legal profession, I would see, yeah, women start off really gung-ho about their careers and about, and the research shows this, is that we start off with, compared to men, nearly the same kind of view of our future and where we want to end up and looking to senior leadership. So that's certainly, we start off on that same equal footing. But just a few years into our careers, women tend to start stepping back. And maybe for a few reasons. I think firstly, there's, even in Australia now, obviously we've come a long way, but there's still not a whole heap of female role models, if you like, in that top leadership bracket or in the C-suite. And so hard for women to be able to connect and go, oh yeah, that could be me. They can't see themselves in leaders, in senior leaders. And often I think what I used to see is women kind of start changing and stop kind of being themselves and start turning into maybe someone that they think deserves that senior spot. And, you know, if everyone around the table is male and is in, you know, in their suits, male, and with a lot of that masculine energy, which is great energy, not saying there's anything wrong with that, it's absolutely great. But we want to, you know, to fit in, to have that sense of belonging, we feel like, well, I just need to be like them. So to take my seat at the table, I need to be like everyone else at the table, because people like, you know, we all like people like us. And the crazy thing is the table needs femininity to balance it. And so females bringing a whole lot of masculinity to the table doesn't actually help with outcomes, doesn't help us to become more innovative and creative in leadership and in corporate. And so, yeah, finding a way, and some of it is through this confidence piece and making sure that confidence stays with us throughout our careers, so that we can absolutely be ourselves in corporate. And all of that great stuff like empathy and intuition and understanding and, you know, all of that femininity stuff we can bring with us to the table. And I, like, for me, certainly have struggled with it. And I was lucky enough that I was in a law firm for 19 years. And I grew up there and they knew how crazy I was. You know, they knew that. So I had a stupid name, Midja, like what? So we have a nickname, not so popular in the corporate world. People don't have nicknames. I did. And they knew that I was just, you know, I'd do my thing. But when I left, boy, it was really tough. And I still struggle with this, is, will corporate accept me? Will they accept Midja? And I had someone the other day, I'm doing a talk tomorrow in Brisbane actually, and I had one of the senior leadership, and it was a woman actually, and she said to me, I just feel really uncomfortable calling you Midja.
What's your name?
Yeah, I know. She said, I just feel like I've just met you and I feel really uncomfortable with it. And I said, perfect. That's the right space for you to be in. That's the right space. So even for me, and it's, I know it sounds silly that to call me by my nickname, people would be uncomfortable with doing it. But I think it's a great starting point for my work with corporate, because if they can get over the Midja thing, then we can start to really like let it out and get the armor off and be vulnerable and just be a group of people that are striving towards a common purpose and goal. And we're all using our strengths to get there. Yeah. So, yeah, I absolutely want to see women in corporate being able to be themselves, not feeling like they have to change, and bringing their magic to the leadership table, and more of that, and less when I go places, people saying they had to get out of corporate and rolling their eyes at me, saying it was all too much. And it destroyed their soul. That's what people say to me. It destroyed my soul. I'm like, whoa, that's big. That's some big statements to be made. But that's what happens.
I mean, it's such, just blows me away the way you talk about that. I haven't worked in corporate per se, but that's it's a great mission. And
yes.
And you don't, you've got a daughter, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, you don't want her to have to go through these sort of issues and feel that because you're a girl that you can't be vulnerable in your role. And I know a lot of women struggle with being vulnerable. I see it a lot. It's like they kind of feel ashamed at showing their vulnerability, and it's just nuts. I mean, it's who we are as females. If we didn't, as you said, if we didn't have that balance, the world would just go.
Well, that's right. And I was at a dinner a few weeks ago, and one woman, I don't know what organisation she works for, but she said that she had received feedback from her manager that she cared too much, and she needs to tone that down. And women around the room just nodded and went, "Yeah, I've been told I care too much as well. Like, I'm too feelings based. I'm too this. I'm too that." Wow. Actually, my friends and my family want me to buy a T-shirt that has #too_much written on it, because that's what I like. Oh, just too much. Too much this, too much that. And it's so common. And the problem is that, and this is where the confidence starts being, eroded, is that you start hearing that over and over again. And you start believing it. It's an awful analogy, but a little like, the battered wife syndrome. But in corporate, your boss and other people around you start saying, "You're too emotional. You wear your heart on your sleeve. You need to tone that down. You need to be more like this. You're too this." And at the start, you might go, whatever, but you stay in that workplace and you keep hearing it over and over again, you will start to believe it. Yeah. And then you start getting isolated, and you're not looking for opportunities outside, and you're isolated, and then you're absolutely stuck. You feel like you're stuck. And you're stuck because they've done a really good job at taking away your confidence and your self-belief. Mm. And I'm not saying that's intentionally, but they've got you now in a corner.
So I wonder how many men get told that, "Oh, you're too sensitive, you're too caring, stop wearing your heart on your sleeve." I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I do like men, but
yeah, but it's
interesting, isn't it? I mean, I doubt that many men in the positions that you've worked in, all the companies, would get told that.
Yeah. And it's that vulnerability versus credibility argument. To have credibility, I can't be vulnerable. Yeah. And I'm like, to be credible, you absolutely need to be vulnerable. Yeah. And people have to follow. They have to follow someone. They have to follow a leader. And if they don't know you, how can they commit to you? They absolutely can't. They're just coming in, doing their job and leaving. But you're not going to get any commitment from them unless you show yourself.
I can't wait to watch you be a trailblazer in this. I'm really excited just hearing you talk about it, because I could just see so much opportunity across the world.
Yeah.
For this sort of work, it's just, yeah, well done you.
Thank you
For standing up.
you.
Yeah. Now, I just wondered if you could just give really quickly some practical steps, just work through them, that the people watching who might be struggling with some ways of dealing with confidence that they can actually put into place and take away.
Yeah, sure. So, so three things. So my model for confidence is really three things. So firstly, to know yourself, and then to be yourself, and then to believe in yourself. So those three things. So some practical tips, firstly, around knowing yourself. Do some work on your values. So take a good look and ask yourself some questions around what gives you meaning, what gives you motivation, what's your preferences and what your priorities are at the moment. So really articulate, your top 4 or 5 values that are important to you. Like we were saying before, your why. So don't get too worked up about it, but just, what gets me out of bed in the morning? What gets me smiling? What gets me motivated? What gets me out of bed? And define that. And taking a look at your past, so some of those stories, and figuring out, okay, these are some of my key beliefs, and this is where they've come from. And just even knowing them is going to absolutely help you move forward and get to know yourself. And then around being yourself, a few tips around that. I'm big on knowing your strength and spending a lot of time focusing on that strength and becoming extraordinary at it. So find out what your strength is and spend time on that. It's a 10,000 hour rule, 10,000 hours to get really good at something, brilliant at something. So focus on what you're great at and do more of that. Spend more time on that. Let go of that perfection.
Yep.
And sometimes you need an accountability buddy or a partner in your business or someone you work with to help you with that, and to sometimes physically take the work off you when it's 80% right. Take it off you. It's gone, it's posted up. Setting yourself deadlines and stuff for work, particularly in business, because in a lot of our work, like if you're writing, if you want to get your first book out, if you want to run your first workshop, all of those stuff, I've seen people spend so long just, procrastinating, thinking about how it's going to be perfect. Just write something and get it out.
That's an order.
That's an order. With my book, I just wrote it and got it out. Done. And this next book that I'm writing, it has to be in that final manuscript, I think 12th of November or something. So whatever is done by the 12th of November is what's going in. And I often say, if you're not embarrassed about the work you did a couple of years ago, then you haven't grown. So I write knowing that in 2 years I'm going to be embarrassed by this book. Oh well. At the time, it was the best I could do at the time. These were my thoughts. This is where I was at this time. And then in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, the next book be different. But get something out. Set yourself some deadlines there. And around believing in yourself, which is the final thing, we spoke about stopping the comparisons, and don't follow people or connect with people that are going to make you feel heavy and negative. Follow people that make you feel really light and make you feel better about yourself. Don't torture yourself with those comparisons. Change the self-talk, all that affirmation work that people do, I think is really important and works. And why it's so popular is because it does work. So, some of the stuff, like keep it light, for me is an affirmation I use all the time. Find out a couple that are going to work for you. And finally, the final thing around that self-belief is, finding your tribe. And, Jim Rohn talks about that you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So who are those 5 people And I don't know about you, but I want them to be exceptional people, and people that are going to build me up, people that are going to challenge me, of course. But yeah, just take a look at who you're spending time with and why, and reach out to some people that are, you know, in your area, in your field, that you want to spend more time with, and reach out to them. And I find most people like yourself are willing to help and give their time. And so don't be scared to reach out to the people that will make a difference in your life and in your business.
Just like I reached out to you.
That's right. Yes. And people say yes. And
yeah, I know.
It just happens. Just ask. That's a great one. Nothing gained if you don't ask.
I've taught my daughter that, and out of her doing that, she's had some amazing opportunities because she asked. And people go, how did you get that? She said, I asked.
That's right. It sounds simple, but not everyone does it. So, yeah, I know.
Now, you mentioned your books. Could you tell us the name of both your books? And,
yes, so this is...
I'll put a link and we'll be able to share that. Yep.
So this is
that gorgeous girl.
Look at that. So this is the confidence book. So how to be your most authentic, courageous, unshakable self. And you can grab that now. So if you go onto my website, which is just midja.com.au, you can grab yourself a copy of that book. And my next book is called Great Lawyer to Great Leader. And so it is around, just turning from the expert lawyer and knowing all the right answers to becoming the expert coach and knowing all the right questions. And that will be in my hot little hands in January. So I'm taking orders for that now. But talk about letting go of that perfectionist. I've got to get that finished and off and done and published and out of my hair. So would love people to certainly reach out and grab a copy of that book.
I will put a link when I post this to your website, and people can see that. I have my own copy. I'll look forward to reading your next book.
Yes.
And finally, let's wrap up now. But I have an Oprah question for you.
Jeez.
I always like to end with a question.
Yes.
What advice would you give to your younger self, Midja?
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. I think one of the things I would say is that you've got your own style of magic and believe in yourself.
Beautiful.
Because I think for a long time, we don't realise what we do best, and we don't realise that what comes really naturally to us doesn't come naturally to everyone. It's so in us. That magic is so part of us that we don't see its brilliance. And so that's what I would say to my younger self. You know, you've got the magic inside of you, know what it is. Do more of that and believe in yourself.
I love that. I'll share mine if you'd like.
Yes, go for it. What would you say?
Well, this is what I learned. This was my pivotal moment.
Mm-hmm.
No one's opinion is more important than my own.
Yes.
Boy, I wish I'd known that 30-something years ago.
Yeah. One of my...
We keep learning. I'm learning in my 50s. You're learning in your 40s. We never stop learning, and that's what I
can't wait to be... I rocketed in my 70s and just this wisdom that, probably no one will want to bloody listen to me, but I'll still be video blogging. I'll still be getting the message out there, and even if just for me.
I think it's great.
But it's amazing, isn't it? Just with time and with experience and with things that happen, just the different perspective you get. That's what I love, because you absolutely don't know what's around the corner.
You don't. And that's why I love interviewing women like you, because everyone's got their own unique brand of wisdom. And I know that people watching this today, I know there are going to be so many people that just are inspired by you, and they're going to stop and look at themselves and start you know, working on themselves and working out what it is, what they want. But most of all, believe in yourself.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a huge one.
It's huge.
I'd just like to thank you so much. You're absolutely delightful. You're just like a breath of fresh air that blew in.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be watching your career with great interest, because I just know that you're going to do really big things in the world. And I thank you for that on behalf of women.
Thank you. And yeah, so I do my video blog. It's called Mondays with Midja, and people can subscribe on my website. And
beautiful. We'll share that link. Thank
that'd
you
be perfect.
so much, Midja. I don't mind calling you Midja.
Good. Good. Love it.
Okay. Thanks for your time
Thanks,
today.
sis. Bye.
Bye.